keep it real with ya.
Hey everybody, it's me. Hey everybody, it's me, Minu, back with another video. It's been a minute since I recorded a video. I tried to batch them earlier, but you still missed me last week, and I'll get into all of that in a minute. First, I want to show you my shirt. Step back a little bit. There we go. Yeah, cute. All right, isn't that cute? I really like it. It's very warm. I thought about wearing it in London because it was much colder there than it is here in the South, but I had enough stuff in my luggage. I got both the cats in here, so you'll see them in probably 2 seconds, depending on how Sadie wants to act. So, I want to show you guys my hair. So, this I literally just took it out the bonnet and fluffed the ends. It's holding pretty well. I thought that I was going to have to in this video try to like restyle my hair and like fix it or something like that. And I haven't needed to. And that's because when I last did my hair, I did the flat twist. And instead of using that twisting cream that I used the last time I did my hair, I used some mousse that my black hair therapist told me to use because she said that holds the curl much longer. And I can even use it to do like a wash and go, which I had no idea what a wash and go was. I assumed it was like, when you have 4C hair, you can wash your hair in the summer and just go outside and it'll just dry on its own. But apparently it's a whole process that I didn't know anything about. But she said you could do that for a wash and go. So, and I'll share some pictures. I'm already posting on Instagram just in case you guys didn't know. I will share pictures of how my hair looked when I first undid them because I kept them in the flat twist until I got to London, like the morning before I had to go into the office, and then I undid them so that it could be fresh as possible. And the week that I was in London, I did the whole pineapple thing where I wrapped a scarf around my head and then I push everything up, and then in the morning I like shake it all down so that it can like fan around my head. But this past week that I've been back, I've just been putting a bonnet on it, and it's actually not bad. Like this section right here, kind of like I like it better like this, where it's kind of like going to the back and then holding there, versus it was trying to be all like fluffed out over here and then fluffed out over there, and I was just like, you're doing too much. Like, please just sit somewhere because it was just like the big poof, just like hanging over in this area, or rather, which direction is this going in? A big poof that way. But yeah, I like it better this way because it's not just like fluffing all around and like sticking up in the sky. But yeah, it looks good. I like it. I thought I was gonna have to redo it for the video, but I don't have to, so we're good there. And yes, I have been back for a week at the time that I'm recording this video, which is the day before it goes up, because of course. And I know you're thinking like, you've been back for a week. Why was there no video last week? That is because I did not get back until Sunday afternoon, like around 1 or 2 p.m. My time. So yeah, there was no time to record or upload or edit any type of video because I was traveling. But yeah, I've been back for a week and I've just been exhausted this whole week because I came right back to do tons of meetings and a bunch of work and a lot of stress, and like I have had no time to breathe or sleep really. Last night I got some good sleep, but then I woke up because I always wake up around like 7 a.m. and I was like, I want more sleep. I need more sleep. And my body was like, no, we don't sleep past 8 a.m. We don't. No, you get up. You get up now. Go eat breakfast. So I'm still tired, and I probably look tired in this video. So and I ain't even going to apologize for that. Why would I apologize for that? That don't make no sense. But yeah, I will tell you guys because I know you're wondering how London went. Because I never, and I don't know if I said this in the last video, I never cared about going to Europe for anything. And when I say Europe, I mean really Western Europe. I never grew up learning anything about like Eastern Europe or the cultures there. So I'm letting you know right now that I was ignorant of like the whole of Europe. I really was only educated on Western Europe, and I had no interest in ever going to Western Europe because I feel like, you learn about it enough in schools and history. Like we glorify Western Europe, So I just never really felt like I needed to learn anything or do anything with regards to that. But I ended up working for a company that's in the United Kingdom. And so they were like, hey, Minu, come out here. Um, and I don't even know if I should start with the positives or the negatives. I guess I should end on the positives, because that'll make me feel better walking out of this recording. So I will say the negatives. There was a lot of negatives, and when people ask me how it was, I would say it was the best worst trip of my life. Um, and I've literally, like, of all the trips that I've gone on where I've gotten sick, where I've been in pain, um, where I've had people treat me poorly, or I've gotten lost, and or I've been stranded in a foreign country. Like, of all the times and stuff like that happened, I just felt like this was the epitome of every possible thing that could go wrong went wrong. So I'll start with the flights. I feel like flying since COVID has just gotten terrible. Um, I constant flight delays, flight planes not being clean. They not cleaning in between the flights. So if you have a flight that's midday, they have not cleaned that flight in however many hours that they've been flying. So, like, having like melted stuff on your seat and trying to like scrape that off and sit down and stop because you're like stopping other people from boarding because you don't want to sit on food that's just been on the seat. They don't smell right. If you don't have an early morning one where you're like one of the first people on that plane, they don't smell right. They smell like there's been a bunch of people in there. It smells like whatever they were eating on that flight. It smells like whoever took their socks off on that flight. Like, it's just really stuffy and uncomfortable. And like you guys know, with my autism, I'm very sensitive to smells. So I can come in and tell that the air pressure is off. I can come in and tell that people have been in there. Even if it's not necessarily like, oh, someone in here was eating eggs. Like, you would smell that. You would notice that. I can tell that people have just been in there and there isn't a lot of ventilation. And it was very uncomfortable. The first flight, with me getting out of my city, and I had to go. Where did I have to go? Oh, I had to go to the coast. So I had to leave my city to go to like North Carolina so I can get on the coast and then get from the coast to London. And that flight was very tiny. They said no flight entertainment. You don't get no flight entertainment. You don't get no snacks. You don't get no water. You don't get no Wi-Fi on this flight. Just sit here for however many hours it takes us to get to our next destination. I was like, God damn, seriously? Like, that's kind of disrespectful. And they were just like, yeah, nah, we don't have nothing. We don't have nothing on this flight. And I was like, this is terrible. The flight from North Carolina to London was a bit better. Like, they gave you blankets and stuff, which is cool. I had never been on a flight where they gave me blankets. But they gave you blankets. They had gluten-free meals, and I posted about that already on Instagram of like what the gluten-free meals look like because I got to select that when I booked my flight. So they had gluten-free meals, they had wine, they had the in-flight entertainment, the Wi-Fi, all of that jazz. And I had already prepared not to pay for airplane Wi-Fi, so I had already downloaded stuff for me to listen to and watch on the way there. But it was constant flight delays. So I literally almost missed my London flight because the flight that was going to North Carolina, not only did it take them like an hour to leave the tarmac, it took them an hour once we got to the tarmac at the next place to let us off. So I'm like struggling because I'm like, my flight is boarding right now. Like, I need to go. And I was sitting next to this white lady, and I was like showing her, I was like, man, my flight's about to board. I'm about to be so upset if I miss my flight because who knows when they're going to have another flight going to London. Um, and she calls over the flight attendant to ask him, like, hey, her flights are going to leave soon. Like, can you let her off before everybody else? And he was like, oh, and he was like this old white man. He was like, what are you talking about? Like, he couldn't hear her. And so she was like, her flight is going to leave. Like, she raised her voice, her flight is going to leave. Can you let her get off? And then he was like, oh, your flight's gonna leave? He said, okay, so what you need to do when we finally dock, you just need to get up and run to the front of the plane so that you can get off before everybody else. I was like, what? What did you just tell me to do? And the white lady was like, huh? You you want her to just like bum rush the plane to get off before everybody else? Like, what if she runs into people? Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, did you just say what I think you just said? And she was like, can you just let her off? Like, can't you just let her, like, just hold everybody and then let her get up and get off? And he's like, no, 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 I can't do that. If I do that for you, I have to do it for everybody else on here. No, you just get up and you go yourself. And I was like, I just want to make sure I'm clear here. You want me to get up and try to run past with my luggage and everything, try to run past everybody on this plane to get off first. And he was like, what? Huh? What are you talking about? What are you saying? And so the lady tried to say it to him and like say, so you telling her she needs to just run up there. And he was like, why are you raising your voice? Don't raise your voice at me, and like all of this stuff. And then they're getting into a whole argument. And so then I just shoot him off. I'm like, yeah, I got it. Just go. I don't want to keep having this argument here. And so I'm like, I can't do that. I can't just bum rush the plane when we finally like dock. That's wild. And she was like, well, how about when we dock, we'll just yell it out. Like, we'll just ask everybody on the plane if they're okay with you getting off early. And I was like, you sure you don't want you to get in trouble or nothing? Like, you're already arguing with the flight attendant. She was like, I don't care about that guy. He's an asshole. I was like, oh, okay. If a white woman is willing to get in trouble for you, just let her. Just let her. It's better her than me. Because you know how that white man would have responded if I was the one that he thought was raising my voice with him. So the plane docks and she yells out and she's like, guys, our plane is leaving. Can she please get off early? And they were like, yeah. And so I was like, oh, thank you guys. And I grabbed my stuff and I ran off the plane and I ran to my other location so I can get on. And I made it like just in time, made it to get on the plane to London. Even the London plane was delayed, but it didn't matter at that point because like once we got in, I was like, okay, this is my last stop. So I wasn't super worried about being delayed, but the London plane was delayed. Trying to get anywhere was a problem. And I would say, and I'm just going to talk about all the flights and then I'll talk about the other transportation. The flight coming back. So I had an early morning flight, meaning 6 a.m. I'm up, I'm skipping breakfast, I'm hopping in the Uber to go make sure that I get on this flight that I had to go into Texas, because Texas is like, that's, one of their big hubs. So I had to go into Texas, which was kind of annoying because Texas was a little bit farther for me. Like, obviously I don't live in Texas. So it was a little bit farther for me than I would have liked, which made my flight from London like 10 and a half hours, which is very annoying. But that flight, I was ready. I was early. I was there like 3 hours early for my flight. And they left an hour late. So then by the time we got into Texas, I had completely missed my other flight. Another thing too, like what I hate, and I didn't even want to go to Texas. I wanted to go back to like one of those coastal cities like North Carolina or something, because North Carolina is like much smaller, but it's still like coastal. So you could like get there easier versus flying all the way to Texas. When you fly into Texas from another country, you have to, first of all, you have to get your bags. So your bags don't meet you at your destination like they do with other flights. You had to go and wait at baggage claim for your bags to get off. However long that take, which for me took fucking forever. It took like 45, 50 minutes before my bag actually rolled off that damn baggage claim. Get the baggage claim, go to another bag drop off place so that they can put it on the right plane to go wherever it needs to go. Then you have to go through TSA again, then you have to go through customs, which is where you do your passport and they're like, where you coming from, da 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 da. You do all of that. Then you have to go through TSA again because they don't trust that you were properly screened the last time you went through TSA. So you have to go through TSA again just to get on your next flight. So I knew I was not making my flight. So as soon as I dropped my bags off, I went to the ticket counter and I said, yo, I missed my flight. And they were like, going to your city? The next direct flight is tomorrow. I was like, oh, well, I guess it's something, because they originally rebooked me to take another 12 hours to get to where I was going because they was like, well, we could send you back to North Carolina and then go to your place. And I was like, no, that's ridiculous. 12 hours. I was supposed to be home by like 8 p.m. Now you want me to fly for like 12 hours, getting in at 8 a.m. I'm not doing that. And the guy was like, yeah, that does sound kind of ridiculous. Let's just like wait for you to go get on the one tomorrow. I'll go ahead and rebook you. I said, okay, but you want me to sleep in the airport? And he was like, no, just talk to the people upstairs and tell them that they need to help you like get a hotel or something. I never did this before. I never missed my flight to where an airline had to book me a hotel. If it wasn't for the fact that I was flying with Germans and people from London who were like, well, in London, it's illegal for you to not give me a place to stay. I was like, oh. So I was like, I had a group of people I was with because I would have been scared to push for a hotel myself. And I felt really bad because the people who are from Germany, they flew from Germany to London, had a flight delay, missed their flight, got put on another flight to go into Texas. And now they've missed their flight again that was supposed to be going into Mexico. So I was like, I mean, y'all think this is bad. You trying to go through Mexican customs? You want to go through the Mexican airport? You gonna be real lost, and they not gonna want to help you. Like when I went to Mexico and I went through the flight for the first time, I was so lost and nobody wanted to help me, and it took like random people that I was running into that didn't work there to get the attention of the employees to help me find out where I needed to go, because the employees did not want to help me. And so I waited like a few hours for them to take care of everybody and their grandmama that had came through to get to check in, because people don't check in online, they check in at the ticket counter. And once they did that, they finally put us up in the hotel, and that hotel wasn't clean. But you know what? I didn't have a change of clothes because I was planning to be home that night. So I didn't have a change of clothes in my carry-on. So I was just like, the hotel ain't clean, but shit, neither am I. I took a shower anyway, but it just feels gross taking a shower and then putting on your same clothes. But I took a shower and I washed up anyway. I finally got home, I finally got on the flight that next morning and got home like in the middle of the day on the Sunday. But it was just so stressful, and I hated it. I hated all of that part. But the other part I hated was the fact that something was going on with Uber to where something was going on with Uber to where every time I tried to like create an account, I had an account years ago, but I deleted it. I deactivated it or whatever you call it, because I have a car and I don't, what I need Uber for if I could just drive. But they would not let me create an account. So I was constantly like emailing customer service, like, I need you to help me, because they would create the account, but then they would immediately block the email that I created the account with. So I tried it like 2-3 times, and every time it was the same thing. So I emailed them, and it wasn't until like middle of the trip that they emailed me back and was like, oh, sorry, we don't know why that happened. We unblocked your email. And then I tried to create an account, and then they blocked my phone number. And here it is, a week and a half later, I still have not heard from Uber customer support as to what's going on. I think, well, no, I'm lying. I did hear from them, and they were like, we don't know what you're talking about. We don't even have this phone number in our system. And I'm like, okay, but every time I tried to create an account and I put in my phone number, it was like, no, you can't use this, like, you can't use this phone number. Like somebody already was using it or something. I don't even know. Like, it was just giving me that red message, like, this is invalid. And my phone number is not invalid because I use it every day. So I had to download a different app, which was basically like a Lyft, their version of Lyft. So it's a little bit more bootleg, not as popular. And the app was so stupid. It wouldn't tell the driver where you were, and it wouldn't tell you where your driver was. So I downloaded it in the airport and then was out there like trying to call this guy, like, where are you? Trying to identify the cars. I don't know what these London cars are like. It was very stressful. And multiple times throughout the trip, I would call a car, and right before they pick me up, meaning they would be like across the street and I'm about to walk across the street to go get in the car, they would call me, and sometimes they wouldn't call me, but they would just cancel the ride. And I know what you're thinking. Did they do that because you're black? No. Apparently, if they felt like the distance was too short and that you can just walk it, they will cancel the ride because they don't feel like driving a short distance. They only want to drive long distance with this particular app. That's what I've heard from the other Londoners that I talked to. And And I was like, bitch, like, and they said, well, they don't know until they pick you up exactly where you're going. So that's why they cancel so much. But you should use Uber. Uber's more reliable. And I'm like, I don't have it. And so I was very, very mad. So my friend in Mexico had to call me an Uber. One, she had to call me an Uber from my house to the airport. And then she had to call me an Uber from my hotel to the airport. And then from the airport to my home when I came back. And it was just like night and day. Like the fact that she's booking Ubers in Mexico for me, and that's more reliable than me directly booking a car through this other app, which was the second most popular app in London in terms of rideshare. That was more reliable than me trying to book a car in London with this app with these people. Trash. And then the other part of it is like, yeah, London is technically like a walking city, but it's not accessible at all. So it's a walking city, but that means it's only for people who can walk. You know, if you're in a wheelchair or if you have trouble walking, like I didn't see a lot of old people out. Like you think about you go a place like Japan, and I hate to compare it to Japan, but I ain't never been to LA or New York. So I can only really compare it to the major cities I've seen. In Japan, you see all types of people, all ages. You can see people over the age of 100, like walking around. And the transportation is on time. They do not miss. They are never delayed. It don't matter if it's a taxi, it's a bus, it's a train. They is never delayed. They don't care what happens. Somebody jump in front of the train, they'll be ready in like 2 minutes to keep going. Like they are efficient. London is not that. It's a lot of old buildings, which is pretty. It's pretty that it's a lot of old buildings, but it's a lot of stairs. Even for the public transportation, it's a lot of stairs. Getting from one bus stop to another bus stop is like trying to avoid getting hit by cars because you have to cross. You can't just cross across the street. You got to cross this street, cross that street, go down the street to get to the next bus stop. Getting into the trains is like ridiculous because again, it's a lot of stairs. It's a lot of people everywhere. It's very crowded. And it's just not accessible. So if you're somebody with chronic pain, or if you're somebody, maybe you got a bum knee, or you're in a wheelchair, or maybe you're just walking around with crutches, you cannot navigate the city. You can't. At most, I see moms with strollers. Moms with strollers, you know, and they can get on escalators and all that stuff. I saw maybe one person who was in a wheelchair get on a bus one time. And I don't even know how they made that happen because the bus drivers don't talk to you. So it was just like wild how inaccessible the city was. You know, you think it's nice to just walk everywhere, but it's like it doesn't feel good having to walk everywhere. My ankle still hurts. I don't know what happened to it. My ankle still hurts and my calves are still burning a week later from all of the walking. I did over 15,000 steps in one day. And not to mention the fact that I didn't have data. I kept buying data like from my cell phone carrier, but I didn't have data. And so because I didn't have data, like it was sometimes like just like crap out on me and then Google Maps would stop working. But Google Maps wasn't really helpful anyway because it didn't know where all the bus stops were. So it would tell you to get on a bus, but it wouldn't tell you where the bus stop was. So then you're just walking around for like 20 minutes trying to find the bus stop that Google says you need to get on. And it's just like so frustrating. And I didn't find out until my last day in London that people in London use a completely different app to navigate the city that actually does know where the bus stops are. And I was very, very upset because I should have been told that when I arrived on Sunday or at least Monday when I was in the office. But I think that people in London, they just, because they live there, they don't realize that it's not like that in other places and that people are trying to use Google Maps. But I will say people were very, very nice in terms of when I would get lost, like completely lost, like no data. Google Maps won't even load the offline map that I downloaded. And I would have to ask people to like point me in certain directions or like look up something on their phone to point me in a direction to go. And I would just be walking, trying to reach like certain landmarks and shit like it was the dark ages or something. It was very, very frustrating. And I would often arrive to work from lunch or breakfast or wherever I was like super sweaty and frustrated. And I didn't like that. So I was always having a very hard time navigating this city. And I nearly passed out. Like the last day, I was going to go to the London Tower. I paid for my tickets and everything. Cost money too. Cost a lot of money to go through this tour, and it's basically a walking tour through different like towers and castles and stuff. I almost passed out at the ticket counter because of all the walking that I had done that day. I had been out since like 6. I think I had left the hotel like 6:30, and it was like 12, close to 1 o'clock, and I barely gotten anything to eat because I was like constantly having issues. Sadie, damn it! Do you need something? Can you sit down? Mwah, I love you too. But literally because I hadn't had enough water, because places you go with places they be charging you for water, and it's like so ridiculous. Like, you should not charge me for water. Apparently, if you don't want to be charged for water, you have to specify that it's tap water that you are asking for when you go to eat somewhere. And I didn't really know that at first, so I just be like, oh, can I get a cup of water? And then I see like a $4 or $5 charge, and I'd be like, why did you charge me $5 for water? And they were like, that's how much the water cost. And it wasn't until my boss was like, no, you need to tell them that you want tap water, and then they won't charge you. I was like, y'all could have said something. You could have asked me if it was, you could have been like, hey, you, just so you know, we're going to charge you $5 for a glass of water because we're going to pour it out of a bottle, and I was like, it was stupid. But I hadn't had a lot of water. I hadn't had a lot to eat because I had spent like the last several hours getting lost in the city, and not in the fun way. So I was just like dehydrated and exhausted from all of the walking and back and forth. And they felt so bad for me. They don't even do refunds. They felt so bad for me. They literally spent 20 to 25 minutes trying to figure out how in the system they could refund my ticket, because it was like, no way is this woman about to like walk through the London Tower. Hey, Sadie, calm it down. I'm gonna go open the door in a second. Hey, now. Um, but literally, like, I was about to pass out at the ticket counter. I couldn't even speak that much to tell them like if I was okay or not, and they were like, no, we need to help this woman. Like, they gave me like several cups of water, which helped me feel a bit better. But it was just like the navigating the city was just so hard. And if you're someone who's dealing like with chronic pain, or you have like fibromyalgia, or you just, any type of pain in your legs that could impair you from walking a bunch of distances, or like going up a bunch of stairs, don't do it. Don't do it. And get in a car, like, the traffic is also terrible. Like, people are walking everywhere, but the traffic is also terrible. So it could take you, you know, it could take you 30 minutes to get somewhere, whereas it would have normally only taken like 6 to 10 minutes if it wasn't for traffic. But it's always traffic. There's traffic, and there's tolls, and there's bikes driving all over the street, not just in bike lanes. There's people who are jaywalking like all the time, crossing the street whenever, so you never know when someone might get hit. It's just a lot. It's a really, really busy city. And if you don't know where you're going, and you don't have some kind of guide with you, and by guide, I mean a person who knows where they're going, you can get lost really, really quickly, and it can become very, very stressful. But yeah, those are all the negative things. So, and I guess it'd be the next video, but I'm going to record it at the same time anyway. I'm going to talk about all the positive things. I feel like it's better to end on a positive note, rather than begin on positivity and then end on negativity. But I did want to get out the negative part, because even though it's like a walking city, it is very, very inaccessible. Not to mention how hard it is to find a public bathroom to use too. Like, there's no reason that I should like make a long trip to a grocery store and then them be like, ain't no restrooms in this whole building. Go somewhere else. You know what I mean? I gotta go to KFC to use the toilet. Come on now. At least give me a paid toilet like in Mexico. Like, I shouldn't have to have a problem finding a toilet. But yeah, that was all the negative things. Next video will be all the positive things and all the good energy, and love to flow out into the world. But yeah, I just want to let you know that this part happened. And this is why it was, I say it's the best and the worst, because that is why it was the worst in terms of all the countries that I visited, or the places I visited in general. All right, guys, love you so much. I'm gonna see you in the next video. Make sure to take care of yourself because you deserve it. Drink your water, eat your snacks, take your naps. Nobody can live in this body but you, so you have to take care of it. All right, see you next video. Bye.